Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown, more specifically, a brand new vinyl update. Y'all should know the drill by now, but just in case you don't, here it is. Every 3 months, give or take, I show off whatever rare and expensive vinyl I have collected in a set amount of time, usually 3 months. And yes, before someone says it, I am well aware that this says Vinyl Update June 2021, and it is actually July. You do not need to tell me, I am well aware. The reason why it says that is because this was supposed to be online in June. How come it wasn't? Well, there are a multitude of reasons, but the most simplest explanation I can offer is, I'm a dumb, lazy idiot. With that out of the way, let's stop wasting time and let's take a look at some fucking sexy-ass vinyl records. First thing I want to show off is something really cool I picked up at the very end of March, roughly just after the previous vinyl update video went online. It is the 40th anniversary edition of Motorhead's iconic Ace of Spades. An album that remains extremely entertaining after all of these years, especially within this sexy little package. On top of the remastered Ace of Spades, it also comes with a live album recorded in 1981, and the booklet itself is just really cool. I mean, there's not much in here aside from some old lyrics and photos, but the way it's presented is just genuinely pretty charming. Very, very happy with this indeed. During that same trip to Sonic Boom, I also picked up this record from King Tuff. I was turned onto this by the aforementioned Anna. It's a pretty cool kind of garage rock, indie rock, hard rock record with some psychedelic flourishes, great modern production, a lot of great melodies, and some great vocals and songwriting. The album itself is called The Other and is pressed on this really cool kind of translucent rainbow swirl thing. That is funky as hell. Great record indeed, definitely one of the better kind of modern rock albums I've heard in recent memory. Definitely give this a shot if you are looking for some modern rock. I'm not really sure what qualifies as modern anymore, hence this. Next up, we've got a couple records from The Lion's Daughter. Y'all may remember I reviewed this particular record, Skin Show, back in April. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 if I'm not mistaken. I just kind of fell in love with its fusion of like black metal and sludge metal and industrial and alternative metal and like synth pop and synth rock. I loved the lyrics. I loved the atmosphere. I just thought it was a really unique and insane and super entertaining fusion of styles and ideas. The song Neon Teeth in particular, I feel really comfortable calling one of my favorite songs of the year so far. It's just a fantastic record, and it is pressed on a very pretty plain white vinyl, courtesy of Season of Mist. I also went ahead and picked up Future Cult from The Lion's Daughter, the album preceding Skin Show. This was where we started to see the band kind of bringing synthesizers and alternative metal into their kind of blackened, sludgy sound. I do think Skin Show is stronger, but there's still plenty of great stuff on this particular album. That album cover in particular is still genuinely frightening. And it is pressed on a very pretty transparent vinyl. Next up, we have a record that was given to me by a fellow vinyl connoisseur known as L Triple on Instagram. It is Utgard, the latest studio album from Enslaved. I really enjoyed this album when it dropped last year. Some of the more blatantly prog rock twists and turns definitely threw me for a loop, but it's grown on me with time. I feel comfortable saying this is probably one of my favorite Enslaved records to date. It's very weird and funky and unpredictable, and at the same time remains everything that has made Enslaved so captivating over the course of their career. Pressed on a very nice turquoise vinyl as well. That's pretty. Thank you to L Triple for that. Everyone make sure you go follow him on Instagram. Now, side note, there was at some point in these last few months where everything in Ontario was forced to shut down again. Why is that? Well, put simply, our premier Doug Ford is a fucking asshole and doesn't want anyone to have fun. So as a result, there was a brief period where I didn't get to go to Sonic Boom all too much, but the fine gentlemen at Sonic Boom were able to pull some strings for me every now and then and nab me a few records, namely this one here, Dark Roots of Earth from Testament. I'm really happy to finally have this on vinyl. This album was my introduction to Testament, and to be honest, remains maybe one of my favorites. It's super consistent from start to finish, tons of huge melodies, tons of fantastic guitar work from Alex Skolnick. That album cover in particular is just fantastic on vinyl. It's also pressed on electric blue vinyl, as they call it. It's definitely extremely pretty, which I obviously like. I also picked up something potentially controversial, depending on your viewpoint of this band, but I love it nonetheless, so bring on the dislikes, bring on the hatred, bring on the bullshit. Here we go. The Battle at Garden's Gate from Greta Van Fleet. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I don't care if you think these guys are ripping off Led Zeppelin. I don't care if you think these guys are a bunch of sellouts and posers or whatever the fuck. I genuinely believe this is one of the best hard rock albums released in a long fucking time. It's smart, it's evocative, it's well written, it's got probably one of the best vocal performances on any rock album in 2021. I honestly do not care how much this band allegedly steals from Led Zeppelin, because honestly, if you're gonna steal, you may as well steal from a band as badass as Led fucking Zeppelin. I don't know, maybe I'm out of touch, maybe I'm just biased because I love Led Zeppelin. Whatever the case, I don't understand this argument at all. But hey, whatever, to each their own, I suppose. Regardless of what anyone has to say, this is my favorite hard rock album of 2021, and the best hard rock album I've listened to since The Union from Glorious Sons, which at this point is like 5-6 years old, give or take. So, yeah, definitely check this out. If somehow you've been living under a rock, and therefore don't know who Greta Van Fleet is, and therefore haven't already. And then boom! Sonic Boom reopened, and when they did reopen, I went a little bit crazy and bought an ungodly amount of vinyl. Oh boy, I definitely broke the wallet that day. That's for fucking sure. First up, we have Fortitude from Gojira. When I heard a lot of the promo singles and when I got my promo copy, I wasn't really vibing with Fortitude, but by the time I had my album review ready, I was really enjoying this thing. I remember even giving it a 4 out of 5, and I like it just as much on vinyl. It's on a black ice pressing, as they call it. It's a little bit transparent, but it's pretty much just standard black. Let's not bullshit each other here. Not that I'm complaining, because the tunes are what matters, and the tunes fucking slap, so c'est la vie. Moving on. We also picked up the 10th anniversary edition of Unsilent Death, the debut album from grindcore and extreme metal unit Nails. They've consistently been one of my favorite grind bands of the 2010s, and this album remains every bit as powerful now as it was when I first heard it. Pressed on a standard black vinyl, but it does come with this genuinely pretty horrifying poster. Definitely not gonna hang this above my bed, that's for fucking sure. Or maybe I will. I am a morbid, edgy motherfucker sometimes. No, I'll hang it above the toilet. I want people to look at this while they shit. That's a good idea. Moving away from metal entirely for a moment, we also picked up Mad Villainy from MF Doom, one of the greatest hip-hop records of all time. I am elated to finally have this on vinyl. Speaking of the greatest hip-hop of all time, we also picked up The Money Store from Death Grips, and There Existed an Addiction to Blood from Clipping. I love both of these albums with all my fucking heart. Rediscovering this in particular on vinyl has been nothing but a joy, and jamming this alongside its counterpart, Visions of Bodies Being Burned, has been an absolute blast. We've also got the new Black Midi record, Cavalcade, which I love. It's probably one of my favorite non-metal records of the year. A really bizarre, funky, intoxicating fusion of like post-punk and jazz and spoken word music. It's weird and unpredictable and over the top, and I just kind of love it. It's really fucking fascinating. Definitely one of the most unique rock albums of 2021. Moving back to metal for a brief moment, we also picked up Burn in Many Mirrors from wooorst, a very exciting piece of blackened death metal that we reviewed here on the channel back in April. If I'm not mistaken, Metal Trenches named this his favorite black metal album of the year so far, and I placed this on my top 10 best metal albums of the year so far. And then, finally, after all that, I kind of dipped my toes into pure nostalgia for a moment and picked up American Fucking Idiot from Green Day, an album that has aged so fucking well that it's honestly kind of remarkable. It's genuinely hard to believe that this band went on to make Father of All Motherfuckers. Like, holy shit. This is an album I credit with introducing me not just to punk rock and to Green Day, but to rock music as a whole. Like, I was never really into Linkin Park or Fall Out Boy or Korn or Avenged Sevenfold or any of the other bands that were really popular when I was a kid, but this struck a chord with me. Maybe it was because of the lyrics, maybe it was because of the attitude, or because it just sounded so different and was so big and so weird in comparison to all those other bands. I loved it then, and honestly, I think I love it even more now, because now I understand and appreciate what this album is talking about. I especially love that this is like a concept album where you can take all the songs out of context of that concept, release them as big hit singles, and nobody bats an eye. That's honestly kind of fascinating. I don't think you could really do that with a lot of other concept albums, and it just shows how well written and timeless so much of this material is. The first LP is pressed on this extremely bloody and pretty kind of red and black swirl, while the second LP has this very chalky, smoky kind of effect to it. I really like that. Visually, this is probably one of my favorite records in this entire haul. Actually, that's a lie. Visually, my favorite record in this entire haul is Bad Brains. Oh my god! One of the greatest punk rock albums of all time, finally in my hands. Courtesy of Revolver magazine and pressed on this stunning, transparent red, green, and yellow splatter. Oh my god. I want to frame this on a wall. It's almost too pretty to play. It's too pretty to enjoy as an actual record. Though, admittedly, I have. And, spoiler alert, this album remains an absolute punk rock classic all these years later. If by chance you have not ever listened to this record, go do it. Don't bother looking for this particular variant on Revolver magazine, though, because it is sold the fuck out. And booyah! That's it! Holy fuck! That was a lot of goddamn fucking vinyl! I should note that we also picked up some box sets from Creator and Black Sabbath in the last couple of months, but they were both so big and so exciting that we decided to cover both of them in two separate videos, the links to which you will find in the description of this video, assuming you still want to nerd out over some fucking vinyl. Speaking of, what records did you collect in the last couple of months? What are you looking for in the near future? What records do you dream of adding to your collection? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe if you haven't already so you can get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.